Can a simple sentence spoken with a trembling voice become the most naked proof of a global star's fear? And why did millions of ARMY around the world suddenly cry at the same time when that clip resurfaced? This question has haunted timelines, discussion spaces, and the hearts of fans ever since an old video of Jungkook of BTS suddenly went viral again, precisely as news broke about the arrest of a foreign fan who had disturbed his residence. There was no background music, no grand stage, no cheering crowd. What remained was only the voice of a young man who sounded firm yet fragile, as if holding back something that had been buried for far too long. Amid the constant hustle of the Korean entertainment world that almost never sleeps, the re-emergence of Jungkook's Weverse live broadcast from September 1, 2025 felt like a clue that was understood too late. That day was his birthday, a moment that should have been filled with laughter, congratulations, and happiness. Yet instead of celebrating, Jungkook spoke about something far darker and more personal. His home, a private space that had been repeatedly breached, and a sense of safety that was slowly eroding. When the clip was reshared by the X account at jimochii on January 4, 2026, alongside news of the latest arrest, the impact was not merely viral. It shook ARMY's collective emotions. "Please don't come," Jungkook said in the clip, a sentence that now sounds like a restrained scream. He continued with a cold, factual explanation of his home's security system. A parking gate that locks automatically, CCTV cameras recording every corner, and a warning that anyone entering without permission could end up at a police station. Academically speaking, those words could be read as a preventive statement, a rational effort to establish boundaries. But why, when this clip began circulating again, did so many ARMY feel something far more emotional, even traumatic? The clue may lie not in what Jungkook said, but in how he said it. His voice did not rise. He did not express anger explicitly. That is precisely where the shock lies. There were small pauses, audible breaths, and a trembling tone when he said, "Don't come." Really? That short sentence, which may once have been overlooked amid the bustle of a birthday broadcast, has now become the center of attention. For many fans, especially after a series of stalking incidents came to light publicly, the sentence feels like a confession of exhaustion, even fear. Context changes everything. At the time of that live broadcast, the public already knew about attempts to intrude on Jungkook's home, including the case of a Japanese woman in her 50s who tried to enter his property. But when the latest news emerged about a Brazilian woman in her 30s being arrested again for throwing letters and hanging photos on the fence of his home, in violation of South Korea's Anti-Stalking Act, Jungkook's past words suddenly felt prophetic. As if he had already given a warning, as if he had already tried to speak, but the world only truly listened after it happened again. This is the irony that made ARMY cry en masse. The clip itself was not new, but its meaning changed dramatically. In digital spaces, reactions poured in rapidly. The account at Jungkook shared news of the latest arrest while writing two words loaded with emotion: "Free him." A statement that, taken literally, might sound exaggerated. Jungkook is not imprisoned. Yet symbolically, it reflects the feeling that the idol is trapped, not by prison walls, but by fame that does not allow him space to breathe safely. Other fans, such as at Funnyjimin1, wrote with a tone that was both angry and protective, "Leave Jungkook alone, his home is not a tourist destination." This sentence became a kind of mantra, repeated and reposted thousands of times, reaffirming that a home is not a stage and private life is not content. Even the account at Seokjinbit described the situation as getting worse and worse, an assessment that feels simple yet piercing, especially when paired with the unspoken data of how often similar incidents have occurred. Is this merely an emotional reaction from a fandom, or is something more structural and serious being revealed? In studies of celebrity culture and fandom, there is a concept known as symbolic dehumanization, where public figures are treated not as individuals with boundaries, but as objects of consumption. Jungkook's case, viewed from this perspective, becomes an extreme example of how the line between admiration and stalking can blur. When he said that his CCTV was watching everything, many now read it not as a threat, but as an admission that he must always remain vigilant, even in his own home. What makes the situation even more emotional is the fact that Jungkook's warning came after a series of incidents, including an attempted theft in August 2025. This was not a single occurrence but a pattern. One fan at Asakumi summed up that collective exhaustion with a crude yet honest sentence. "It's seriously fucking sad to see how it's happening like every month." The sentence spread widely, becoming a mirror of frustration that the problem seems never to end, as if there is a cycle that keeps repeating without a clear solution. Within a legal framework, Yongsan police are now investigating the motive of the latest perpetrator, while Jungkook's side has requested a restraining order following a previous arrest in December 2025. HYBE, the agency that represents him, has not yet issued an official statement. This silence feels suffocating to some fans. Does silence mean a legal strategy, or does it reflect helplessness in the face of an increasingly complex situation? These questions hang in the air, adding layers of tension to an already emotional narrative. For ARMY in Indonesia, the resurfacing of this clip has become a kind of reflective mirror. Support for idols has long been expressed through streaming, album purchases, and social media campaigns. But now many are beginning to ask, does support also mean keeping one's distance? Does loving someone mean knowing when to stop stepping closer? Jungkook's words, spoken in that trembling voice, seem to answer in the most honest and painful way that it is at this point that the greatest shock emerges. Not in the fact of the arrest, not in the legal details, but in the collective realization that behind the image of a global superstar is a human being who must install CCTV, lock parking gates, and warn the world not to come to his home. A reality that, for many fans, is too heavy to accept without tears. And as the clip is replayed again and again, with every pause and breath of Jungkook analyzed, the initial question echoes once more. Are we only truly listening now when everything has already become so painful? If Jungkook's trembling voice was the first door toward understanding, then what lies behind that door is far darker, more complex, and more painful than many people imagine. The question that is now beginning to emerge is no longer simply, what did he say? But rather, why did he have to say it at all? Why would a world-class idol, whose name is shouted in stadiums and adored across generations, have to explain the security system of his own home to the public? The clues are scattered among fragments of news, fan posts, and an institutional silence that feels heavier with each passing day. In sociological and psychological studies, a home is the ultimate symbol of protection. It is not merely a physical structure, but a safe space where personal identity can be released from social roles. Yet in Jungkook's case, his home has instead become the most vulnerable point. The fact that he has to mention the presence of CCTV, an automatically locking parking gate, and the legal consequences for anyone who enters without permission signals an extreme shift. Private space turning into a defense zone. This is no longer about comfort, but about survival. The series of incidents surrounding Jungkook's warning makes this picture even clearer. An attempted theft in August 2025, the arrest of a Japanese woman in her 50s who tried to enter his property, and the most recent case involving a Brazilian woman in her 30s who threw letters and hung photos on the fence of his home. All of these form a troubling pattern, not only because of their frequency, but because of the implicit message they carry. There are people who feel entitled to Jungkook's private space. It is at this point that admiration turns into stalking, and love turns into a threat. When the Weverse clip went viral again, many ARMY realized something that may have long been overlooked. Jungkook was not speaking as an idol angry at his fans. He was speaking as an exhausted individual. The sentence, "If you don't want to go to the police station, don't come in," sounds cold and firm. Yet beneath it lies a desperation that is hard to deny. This was not an empty threat, but a warning born from real experience, from situations that had repeatedly crossed the line of reasonableness. Reactions on the X platform reflected a collective emotional explosion rarely seen at this intensity. The hashtags Respect Jungkook and Protect Jungkook trended not because of an organized campaign, but because of a spontaneous urge to do something, anything, to prevent this situation from continuing. A post by @Dogaki reading "Free him" became a symbol of frustration with a reality in which a global star appears locked in by his own fame. The post was accompanied by screenshots of Korean media articles, as if to emphasize that this was not rumor, not fandom drama, but facts supported by official reporting. On the other hand, a comment by @FunnyJimin1 stating that Jungkook's home, is not a tourist destination struck at the core of the issue with almost painful sharpness. In the age of social media and fandom tourism, the boundary between public and private space is often blurred. Locations associated with idols, favorite cafes, training studios, even residential neighborhoods, can turn into unofficial pilgrimage sites. Jungkook's case, however, shows the extreme consequences of this phenomenon. When a home is treated as an object of consumption, the safety of its occupant is put at stake. Even more startling is the implicit acknowledgement that the situation is getting worse. The statement by its Seok Jinbit, "getting worse and worse," gained thousands of likes and reposts not because of dramatic wording, but because so many people felt its truth. There is a sense that each new incident is no longer a shock, but a continuation of an established pattern. And when a fan like Asakumi says that this happens like every month, the statement feels like a delayed alarm, yet one that still resonates powerfully. From an academic perspective, the phenomenon of sassying or obsessive fans is not new in the K-pop industry. What distinguishes this case, however, is its visibility and emotional accumulation. Every arrest, every media report, every resurfacing of an old clip adds another layer of trauma, not only for Jungkook, but also for the fandom witnessing it. ARMY are no longer simply celebrating musical achievements or stage performances. They are now carrying a constant concern for their idol's safety. HYB's silence amid this situation adds yet another layer of unanswered questions. Does silence mean work is being done behind the scenes? Or does it reflect limitations in dealing with an issue that involves law, privacy, and public opinion all at once? Yongsan police are indeed investigating the motive of the latest perpetrator, and a restraining order has been requested. Yet for many fans, these steps feel reactive rather than preventive. The question lingers: how many more incidents must occur before there is systemic change? In Indonesia, discussions about this case have taken on a reflective tone. Many ARMY are beginning to re-examine how they express support. If love for an idol has long been synonymous with emotional closeness, is it now time to redefine love as respect for distance? This is not an easy question to answer, especially within a fandom culture built on intimacy and togetherness. Yet Jungkook's words, now sounding more honest than ever, force that reflection to take place. Perhaps the greatest shock of all lies not in the actions of the perpetrators, but in their impact on public perception. Jungkook is no longer seen only as a symbol of global success, but as an individual who must negotiate daily with the fear of privacy violations. When he said that his CCTV was watching everything, many now hear an echo of loneliness behind that sentence, a realization that in order to stay safe, he must remain constantly alert, even as the world expects him to appear relaxed and smiling. So what actually happened after Jungkook's voice echoed again? After millions of people pressed play and heard the same tremor, the same pauses and the same words, yet with an entirely different feeling. Why did so many ARMY admit to crying? Not because of ordinary sadness, but because of guilt, shock, and a realization that came too late. This is where the story reaches its most emotional point, when a global fandom is forced to look in the mirror and ask itself, have we truly been protecting him all this time? Or have we instead become part of the pressure he carries? That Weverse clip, if separated from today's context, might have looked like nothing more than a firm warning from a celebrity to fans who had crossed the line. But when replayed amid news of the latest arrest, its meaning changed dramatically. Jungkook's words no longer sounded defensive, but preventive, as if he had been trying to stop something he knew would continue to happen, as if he was speaking not only to stalkers, but to an entire world that too often blurs the line between love and possession. The massive emotional reaction from ARMY was not merely an impulsive response. It was born from accumulation, from watching the same idol grow from a dream-filled teenager into an adult with global responsibilities, yet still unable to feel safe in his own home. From realizing that behind billions of streams and stadium cheers are silent nights filled with vigilance. And from understanding that the trembling voice was not acting, not drama, but a reflection of a real psychological condition. Many fans began to write honest and painful confessions. Some admitted that they once found it cute to see sassying approaching idols, viewing it as extreme but harmless. That perspective has now collapsed. Incident after incident, including the case of the Brazilian woman who was arrested again after a previous offense, has opened eyes to the fact that stalking is not merely a nuisance, it is a real threat. The South Korean Anti-Stalking Act violated in this case serves as a reminder that even the state recognizes the danger, even if enforcement often comes only after trauma has occurred. What is most surprising is how a single simple sentence, "Don't come," really, was able to significantly shift the fandom's narrative. That sentence is now understood not as emotional distance, but as a safety boundary. ARMY began to echo a new message. Supporting does not require closeness, loving does not mean possessing, and protecting sometimes means stepping back. This is a transformation of awareness rarely seen on such a scale, and ironically, it was triggered by the fear of an idol that finally became audible. In Indonesia, discussions surrounding this case have developed with a more mature and reflective tone. Many emphasize the importance of waiting for official statements, respecting legal processes, and not spreading speculation that only worsens the situation. The call to respect Jungkook as a human being, not an object, has become more than just a slogan. It has become a new ethical principle within fandom culture. This awareness may not erase the trauma that has already occurred, but it offers hope that the cycle of violations can be broken. Ultimately, the greatest shock of all is not the virality of an old clip or the flood of reactions on social media, but the change in how people listen. The world finally hears Jungkook not as a superstar, but as a human being asking for space. And when ARMY cried en masse, those tears were not only because they were saddened to see their idol hurt, but because they realized that the trembling voice was a warning, one that, fortunately, can still be learned from. This story does not end with an arrest or a trending hashtag. For now, it ends with the fragile yet important collective awareness that behind every stage light, there is a shadow that needs protection. And perhaps for the first time, many people are truly ready to listen before that voice trembles again for the same reason.